Watch how the third quarter goes down. At least they called this one. A'ja Wilson creams Lexie Hull like she did 5 times in Game 1. Becky Hammon can get 15 calls in a row. One goes another way, and she starts screaming and crying. A'ja Wilson doesn't like Lexie Hull. She's always pushing her, always testing her limits. But that's an illegal screen. And somehow, Hull gets called for the foul. The Indiana Fever just watched game to slip away. Not because they were outmatched, but because the refs practically handed it to the Las Vegas Aces. 41 fouls. 16 of them in just one quarter. Players being thrown to the ground. And somehow, A'ja Wilson walked away praised for her stat line while Lexie Hull played through a back injury she picked up in Game 1. This wasn't basketball. This was chaos disguised as defense. So how did the Fever even manage to fight back through all of that? And what does it mean as the series shifts back to Indiana? From the very start, Game 1 had set a tone no one expected. The 2-time defending champions were supposed to roll. National coverage already suggested this was going to be an easy sweep. But Indiana never bought into that script. They walked into Vegas calm, disciplined, and ready to show the league that their playoff ticket wasn't charity, it was earned. Kelsey Mitchell wasted no time silencing the critics. She dropped a playoff career-high 34 points. Every time Vegas tried to press, Indiana responded with poise. No panic, no rush possessions. Just a team executing with precision. The supposed trump card, A'ja Wilson, had a nightmare outing. 6 makes on 22 attempts. 6. Indiana's defense forced her into tough looks, contested every angle, and made her work for every single bucket. That was the story. One team executing without fouling, the other stumbling on their own court. The Fever left Vegas with a 16-point blowout win, and the message was loud. The league's most hyped powerhouse wasn't invincible. That embarrassment fueled the Aces. A 16-point loss at home wasn't something they could explain away. And so, when Game 2 tipped off, it wasn't about basketball anymore. It was about revenge. From the opening minutes, you could see it. The Aces weren't just physical, they were reckless. Arms flying, shoulders lowered, defenders shoving cutters through the lane. And the referees, they let it go. What should have been a showcase of skill turned into a stop-and-start parade of whistles. 40-1 fouls were called. 16 of them in just the third quarter. Every time Indiana tried to build momentum, it was chopped apart. Every run, killed by a whistle. Every clean possession disrupted by chaos. How do you find rhythm when the game is interrupted every 10 seconds? How do you build pace when your opponent is being rewarded for knocking you to the floor? That's exactly what Fever coach Christy Sides said after the game. It's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul called every 10 seconds. And when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. She wasn't exaggerating. This wasn't intensity. This was manipulation. And through all of it, Lexie Hull stood in the middle of the storm. After injuring her back in Game 1, she was listed as questionable. Most players would have sat, not Hull. She taped herself up, pushed through the pain, and hit the floor. What happened next was brutal. Vegas targeted her. They tested her back on every screen, bumped her on every cut, and sent her to the hardwood more than once. Yet, despite the pain, Hull drilled 5 three-pointers, tying the Fever playoff record. That's toughness. That's defiance. It wasn't about pretty basketball. It was about refusing to fold. Meanwhile, the headlines didn't focus on her grit. They didn't highlight Indiana's resilience. Instead, they celebrated A'ja Wilson's stat line. 25 points, 9 boards, 5 steals, 2 blocks. Dominant, the media called it. But dominant isn't the same as fair. Dominant doesn't mean clean. Wilson got those numbers bulldozing into the paint, benefiting from whistles that Indiana never seemed to get in return. Fans saw it. Social media called it out. But the narrative was already written. The Aces bounced back. Aaliyah Boston knew the truth. Every rebound she grabbed came with a shove. Every post touch ended in bruises. Yet she still finished with 10 points and 13 boards. Carrying herself like a veteran in only her 3rd season, Odyssey Sims turned broken possessions into buckets, scoring 18 despite being hacked on every drive. And through it all, Kelsey Mitchell, the hero of Game 1, was neutralized. Not because she forgot how to score, but because Vegas came in with one mission: take her out. They face-guarded her without the ball, bodied her on every cut, and doubled her off every screen. What was 34 points in Game 1 turned into 13 in Game 2. It was smart defense, but it was also punishing. By the end of the night, Mitchell looked less like a sharpshooter and more like a pinball bouncing off bodies. Even Becky Hammon admitted after the game that the physicality was out of control. Think about that. Her team just won, benefiting from nearly every whistle, and even she acknowledged the game had crossed a line. That tells you everything you need to know. But here's the bigger picture. Game 2 wasn't about the Fever failing. It was about them not being allowed to play their game. Their identity is rhythm, spacing, and pace. Vegas stripped that away with brute force and a parade of whistles. Yet, despite it all, Indiana never folded. Hull kept shooting. Boston kept battling. Sims kept attacking. That's not failure. That's survival. And survival is exactly what sets up the next chapter, because now the series shifts to Indianapolis. Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Home court advantage. And suddenly, the whistle won't sound the same. Officials can't hide bias when 17,000 fans explode at every bump. They can't ignore contact on Boston when the crowd demands accountability. They can't erase Hull's fight when the building is shaking on every three. That's the difference home court makes. It's not just the rims or the floor. It's the pressure. It's the constant reminder that the eyes of thousands are on every call, every no call, every moment. And this season, Gainbridge has proven to be more than just a venue. It's been a fortress. Teams have stumbled there. Momentum has flipped there. And now the Fever get to step back inside after being roughed up in Vegas. Boston herself said it best: our fans. They show up and they show out. We feed off their energy. Hull echoed that, adding, we definitely feed off of their energy. I can't wait. These aren't empty quotes. These are players who know exactly what's coming. The Aces may have won Game 2, but they had to drag Indiana into the mud to do it. They had to slow the game, rough it up, and lean on the whistle. That's not sustainable on the road. Not in a building that's ready to erupt at every Fever run. The truth is, Indiana has already proven they can win this series. They dismantled Vegas once in their own house. They pushed through chaos in Game 2 and still stood tall. Now, with the crowd behind them, with Mitchell ready to bounce back, with Hull and Boston feeding off the noise, the Aces are about to face a storm they can't control. Game 3 won't just be basketball. It will be a reckoning. A battle not just between players, but between resilience and reputation. The Aces are decorated champions, but the Fever are hungry, tough, and fearless. And when the ball tips in Indianapolis, it won't matter what happened in Vegas. What will matter is who wants it more. So if you're riding with the Indiana Fever, if you believe in Lexie Hull's toughness, Kelsey Mitchell's fire, and Aaliyah Boston's heart, drop a comment saying, "Let's go. Lexie, let's go." Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. Because this series isn't over. In fact, it's just getting started.